everybody. Welcome back to the Everyday Night. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jeff.
And Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Frau
Would you like
Blücher.
some Ovaltine?
Oh, Frau Blücher. um, the Frankenstein story, Mary Shelley, was uh, often thought, or one of the influences of it was thought to be the golem.
Yes.
Not, and I don't mean my precious. I mean golem, golem, um, the beast, the mud, made of mud, which was,
Mud or clay?
well, yes, well,
Okay.
clay is a kind of mud, right? So
All right.
we'll anyway, we'll talk about that. But we're going to talk about that, but in that's the name for what we're going to talk about. So,
Well, yeah, and um, I stumbled upon this article, this feed, quote, real. This individual was talking about the Golem Effect, and in looking up the Golem Effect, I found also, as you did, that it's the opposite or the counter to the Pygmalion Effect.
yes. And something I can talk about as a teacher because it's something that I actually um, implement, have implemented in
Well,
classes.
it's
So,
yeah, it became a sort of a fairly popular um,
yeah.
teaching axiom, really, that by encouraging students, you can
Yes.
help them, make them do better, and by discouraging them, you can almost count on them to do worse.
Yes. But we will get into that after the first lesson of the evening,
Which
which
is what
is
makes me better.
yes. Well, it couldn't
I,
make you worse. So, yeah.
well, I don't know. That's a matter of volume, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
But I am drinking for this evening, as I'm
Yes.
alluding. Uh, just some 1792 bourbon on the rocks, although my rocks have mostly gone away as I was reading in preparation for this little talk. Um, some smoked cherry, m- smoked maple cherry bitters
Oh, okay.
from Iron Fish Distillery.
Cool.
And how are you fortifying yourself for this evening's?
I have a variation on a Manhattan, a fig Manhattan.
Oh,
So it's the usual components of a Manhattan whiskey, in this case from Motor City Gas, which is a Detroit distillery, sweet vermouth, and bitters, Angostura bitters, but with the addition of a fig syrup,
hmm.
which adds a complexity and real interest to it. So a
Does
fig,
it is it a sweeter
it's
addition?
the fig is not, it's a little sweet, but not overpoweringly sweet. And
Okay.
Motor City Gas barley legal whiskey is stout enough that it's counteracts the additional slight sweetness from the fig, um,
Okay.
which I think of more as a fruit sweetness than a sugary kind of sweetness,
Okay.
so not cloying. So
All right.
nicely balanced, I think. So here,
Cheers.
mm, that's good.
So the
Um, yes.
so the Golem effect and its antithesis, sort of the Pygmalion effect, basically instructs us that, this comes, the Golem effect comes from a book by Rutger Bregman.
Well,
Um,
and let's go back even further.
okay.
The golem,
Oh, okay. Let's talk about what a golem is. Okay.
golem, right? A golem was the story is that Rabbi Eliyahu of Chem,
Mm-hmm.
to protect the people his people who were under threat created a homunculus, a humanoid form out of clay.
Right.
And on its forehead, he inscribed the word in Hebrew, emet, which means life.
Ah, okay.
And and the creature protected the people until the creature kept destroying and went amok. And the rabbi erased the aleph, the first letter, and changed the word to met, which means death, and destroyed the
Hmm.
creature. And that's the golem. The Pygmalion comes from the myth of Pygmalion and Galatea. Pygmalion was a sculptor, and
Hmm.
he sculpted a statue of a woman, fell in love with her, and the gods took pity on them and brought her to life so he could, they
Fulfill his twisted
could,
fantasies.
yes, but Pygmalion then was the name of the play by George Bernard Shaw that was the play that gave rise to the musical My Fair
My
Lady.
Fair
It was
Lady. Yep.
about Professor Henry Higgins and Eliza
Eliza Doolittle.
Doolittle and so on. A play, the musical of which we did in high school.
Yes.
Yes, as so many do. Um, so that's Pygmalion and the Golem, and those are the myths, stories behind those.
And there are lots of stories around the Pygmalion sort of thing where taking someone and changing their circumstances changes who they are or changes how they behave and how they act. Uh,
Yes,
Trading places.
yes,
Um, the Eddie Murphy movie where he's this sort of ne'er-do-well beggar con man, and through an unlikely circumstance of being given all of the advantages and privileges of money, he becomes his behavior changes. Um, but it's and this is a common theme in lots of stories where, but it is made to point out, I think in particularly in that movie, that it doesn't change the basic nature of the
of the
person, that the
right,
person was basically good, and it allows them to not have to do whatever they must to survive.
right,
They revert to their good nature.
right. Pretty Woman is another movie based on Pygmalion.
Yes.
The the it's interesting because what I have found often is there's a term nouveau riche, the
Hmm.
newly rich, and it's a pejorative term that's used by the long time upper class to
Right.
refer to the upstarts who enter the economic upper class but don't have the they would call breeding, which is a highly offensive term, I think,
Yeah.
that one uses for livestock. They don't have the background in manners and deportment and
Well, they didn't
all
make
of
their
those
money
things.
the old-fashioned way. They didn't inherit it.
Right. But they don't have they can be recognized by their behavior and their lack of understanding of which spoon to use and which fork to use and the other
Right.
etiquette niceties of etiquette. We've talked a lot about etiquette, um, but that's another. It's interesting because I found in the modern world there's a saying that money can't buy class, and it's not to say that this is the mannerisms, the etiquette, the behaviors of the old moneyed that classism, but that there are people who, yeah, they're extremely wealthy, but they are rude, they're self-absorbed, they're
Right.
it
They have
money
no
has
taste. No
no
taste, no
taste, and
character, no
money has
integrity.
not made them into good people.
Right.
Um, so, um, so anyway, that's the background on the golem and Pygmalion.
Okay. So Bregman theorizes or posits, I guess, would say that his belief is that people are generally good and cooperative and um, kind and sympathetic, right? But that society, in his view, has um, convinced people that they are not, that they are in fact weak-willed and destructive and selfish. And he posits that this is on purpose, that this narrative has been pushed on us as a society so that we can be controlled. We convince ourselves that we must be controlled, and we hand over control to somebody else.
Yeah, he mentions, I think, that this started with Hobbes, philosopher, and I think that
Also a very popular stuffed cat.
yeah, um, more so than Calvinism. Um, the the notion it reminds me of something I've heard from a number of figures, comedians, philosophers, people who, when asked, who are atheists, and they're asked, well, if you don't believe in God, in a supreme being, why don't you kill and injure and
Right.
steal and rape and that
What's
sort of thing?
stopping you
What's
from?
stopping you?
Yeah.
And the response I've seen from several different ones, nothing. I do it as much as, or I do it as much as I want, which is zero. I don't do it at all because I don't want to do that. And the the idea that it's only fear of an afterlife retribution or punishment that keeps you behaving well,
Well, or yeah,
or
or even temporal
yeah,
punishment.
right, or temporal punishment is is horrible. It means you're a horrible person. And we've discussed before that humans evolved to survive. Evolution's about survival. The fittest doesn't mean the most physically fit, it means the most fit to their environment and fit to
Yeah.
survive and continue and pass on their genetics. Humans evolved societies because it's their cooperation and their collaboration, their support for each other that enabled human beings to survive.
Right.
Humans are physically not as strong as animals, they're not as fast, they don't have claws and fangs and poison and other things, advantages that other animals have, but they have the ability to think and to reason and to cooperate. And humans evolved collaborative groups to do this and collaborative societies to do this. And for those societies to continue, they had to evolve, they had to develop codes of conduct, ethics for behavior within the group.
Right,
So,
because it's we can recognize that you can also be lazy and selfish, and
yes,
that an individual can also be lazy and selfish and destructive and those things, and that they are, and we can recognize that they are deleterious to society.
yes. And those, so it is, it's not that morality, well, and I use the term morality to refer to individual conduct and ethics to refer to conduct with with the rest of
Okay.
with others with the in society. Um, and it is most people, many people, particularly religious people, think that morality derives from the supreme being and is given to people. And it's more consistent, more likely to believe that humans established rules of behavior, ethics, and morality, and then developed the concept of a divine being to reinforce those.
Hmm.
It's not true everywhere that a society had to have the concept of a divine being to enforce, establish
Right.
the rules of ethics and morality, but it often is the case. And so the that concept of the expectations of people within a society that's existed for a very long time, and that's kind of more background for what we're talking about.
Right. Right. And so again, Bregman goes on to say that this becomes a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, that we're told we are, like beasts of the field, and we have no morals of our own, and those must be imposed on us by some controlling being, as you say, or by an earthly law, right? And if you don't abide by those controlling, by those guardrails, you are ostracized or thought of as a bad person, which leads you often to worse behavior because why not?
Yes.
Um, and it just continues to cycle that way. And this is recidivism, and all of these things are balled up into this kind of narrative that you're bad, intrinsically bad, and if you act badly, you're just reinforcing the truth that you're bad at the beginning, and that if you don't adopt these rules or these particular behaviors, you'll always be bad.
Yeah. Um, well, and this is true in education. Certainly, I've seen the studies that teachers not knowing anything about their students are told, and I think it's probably not something that would be done now. I think this was before some of the ethical controls on experimenting on actual people were done. But they were told that this group of students were exceptional and this group of students were performing
Remedial.
remedial. And they weren't. There was no difference in the group, but the students performed who were thought by their teacher to perform to be of higher capability perform better,
Hmm.
and the ones who were thought to be of lower capability perform worse.
Was
And
this was this all mixed in one class, and they were just individuals picked
no,
out?
this was over a number of different classes. This was
Well, I
where
mean,
the students I would have to go. It's been a long time since I looked at the individual studies. I don't know.
okay.
I would have to look at that. But I know when I started teaching, well, I was certified coming out of undergrad. I was certified in secondary art education, and did my student teaching, but didn't actually start teaching in a classroom till many years later.
Hmm.
About it's so gosh, 16, almost 17 years ago, and it was undergraduates and graduate students. And I know that I reviewed the literature, the things that I'd been when I was prepping to teach my first classes, and thought, yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not, I will learn from the examples of good teachers and bad teachers about what to do and what not to do. And I will not treat I won't, and I've told students this. I said, this is not a weed out class. There were plenty of weed out classes where it's designed to be hard to intentionally eliminate students from the program, from the major, I'm not doing that. If everyone in here, I want everyone in here to succeed. You're all
Hmm.
capable of succeeding. You can do bet. You can do this. I will help you do this. And I mean, the first class was telling them about what the course was about, but a lot of it was encouragement. You can do this because I wanted them to believe it because part of the Pygmalion effect is not just the teacher believing they can do it, but getting them to believe they can do it. And so I would do that until a student convinced me otherwise. I would help them. I said, I will, as long as you are trying, I will do everything I can to help you. As soon as it's clear that you are not, that you want me to do it for you or you're not going to do it, yeah, you're on your own. Keep trying, and I will keep helping you.
As I was reading some of this, it entered my mind. The question came to me that I wonder if in some ways, a I don't know, a tailgate effect of this is wasn't in some ways the every parent tells their kid they're special and they're smart and they're good looking and they have everything they need to succeed and all they got to do is try, and
Well,
that builds
yeah,
now what I worry
yeah,
about
go
there
ahead.
is that it builds an expectation that they deserve to do better.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there, and one is you have to try, you have to work at it. Is a very different message from you got this, you're good, you're
Hmm.
smart, you're good. And the first, the you got this, you're smart, it causes those students to work less hard, whereas you have to work
Hmm.
causes them to work more. That the difference in success comes down more to fortitude, perseverance, grit, as it's sometimes called, which is one of the virtues.
Hmm.
That's the thing that makes the difference, not the innate potential. I hate
Right.
using the word talent. I
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
potential. People say, "Oh, you're so talented." That that demeans the effort, the work that goes into success and into mastery. Saying you're talented. No, there's potential and there's success. There's
Yeah.
realized potential. Um,
I think
and
there's something to be said for affinity, though,
yes,
not
yes,
talent so much, but yeah.
yes. But people dismiss the accomplishments of people by saying they're talented and that's that. Well, no, there's a lot of hard work in there. Oh, sprezzatura. Um, it's the but when parents and teachers praise the the natural ability rather than the work, praise the work that went into this, praise the fortitude, praise the accomplishment as a result of the work, not how easy it was, how easy it is for you.
Right.
That makes a real difference, and that's I'd say a corollary of the Pygmalion Effect. Look how easy it is for Pygmalion to sculpt this thing. No, he actually
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
study and work and train and practice. Look at all the story of the the emperor calls the painter and says, "I want the painting of the perfect dragon," and the painter
Tiger.
says, "Who's telling the fucking story?
Sorry. I know the story, so I'm
Tell your own fucking
okay.
story, okay?
Sorry.
The way I tell it, it's a dragon."
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
No,
I'm now
now,
I'm now
no,
I'm
no,
now
no, no,
now I'm interested to hear your
no.
version. Because the version I know, they had to go get a tiger and he had to live with the tiger for a year. But go ahead. The dragon story sounds more interesting because I don't know where they're going to get a real dragon.
They don't get a real dragon.
Oh, well, how does he paint the dragon? No, wait. So how did
He gets supplies, he gets a house. It takes him very long. The emperor keeps asking. 10 years later, he says, "Where have you done all this? Where's my painting of a dragon?" And the artist sits down and he immediately and very quickly paints a picture of a dragon. And the emperor says it's perfect. But if you could do all that, why did it take you so long to do it? And then he opens the door to a room, and there are thousands and thousands of drawings he's done that were not perfect. That over 10 years, he learned how to do it perfectly, and then he could do it. Boom.
that's way better than my story. You know what? I need a score. I need a scoreboard over here because that's one.
So, but it's like that.
Yes,
Whether
that is
it's
an
a
apt tale.
dragon or a tiger or persimmons,
Persimmons.
there's a very famous painting of persimmons.
By whom?
That's your
Oh, that's
assignment.
my homework. Oh,
That's your
okay.
homework.
I thought it was if it was so famous you'd know.
I know.
Okay.
And once you look it up, you'll know too. Because if I
Okay.
tell you, you won't remember.
Is that the actual title of the piece, or is it
So, anyway, so the opposite, so the Pygmalion effect, if you is when applied to teachings, you if the teacher has not only has the expectations that the students will do well, but imparts that expectation to the students, they are more likely to do well. Similarly, if they believe the students won't do as well and impart that to the students will perform down to those lower expectations. But the larger philosophical issue is the idea that humans are inherently evil, bad, need to be controlled,
Yep.
must be regimented, must be um, dominated by a controlling force. And um, looking around us, at times, it is hard to disagree with that. But I
Yeah.
think that's because we have a distorted picture of who people are because of media. If it bleeds, it leads. The
Yeah.
old saw about news. Social media, which is even worse because making people angry causes them to scroll more. It feeds the algorithm. It feeds the beast of social media and keeps people coming back for more. Anger is what is drives people
Anger and fear.
and fear. Yeah. Um, individuals are can be smart. People
Yeah.
are dumb, panicky animals, right?
Yeah.
The agent
Okay.
K in Men in Black. People are dumb, panicky animals. It is astonishing how frequently we say that, we quote that here,
Hmm.
that people are dumb, panicky animals, and how often we see evidence for it, that people are dumb, panicky animals. That they ugh,
Well, this is, I think, the people in groups. Never underestimate the stupidity of a large group of people.
yeah, yeah,
Um, or never overestimate you, or you can't overestimate this. I don't know. There's several quotes about that,
yes,
and that's kind of it. As you pointed out earlier, we're designed, so to speak, over millennia of evolution to act as a group.
yeah,
And when you can identify with a group, you tend to slip into that group's mindset. We talked about that with cluster thinking in
Yes.
another episode, that you can slip into that mainstream mindset very,
Groupthink.
very easily. We are
Yeah.
predisposed to do it.
Groupthink.
Yeah, and
It,
it's
yeah.
marks you as someone who is uniquely conscious, that can drag yourself out of that mainstream and listen to podcasts that will tell you that you're smarter than the people
Yes.
around you.
So I've been observing this, and it's not the first time. And this is something that we may end up talking about. Um, that the 24-hour news cycle drives the need for it to constantly be fed. The online news, constant news, televised news constantly needs to be fed. Social media increases this. People feel a need to know immediately. They have no patience. They have um, um, no attention span worth a damn, and need to know now, want to know now. In the absence of knowing, people will make up shit and feed that. Say, well, here's what I think, and everybody feels, not think, everybody feels that they have to have an opinion on everything. And they
Right.
feel that they have to share that opinion with everybody on everything, even when they don't know the facts. I don't know the facts. I don't have any facts to back this up, but here's I
Yeah.
we've heard that from politicians. Well, I don't have facts to back this up, but here's what I think. No, that's not what you think because you're not thinking.
Here's what everybody's saying.
Yes. Lots of people say, who? Give me a name.
Yeah.
Who are they? What's their qualifications?
Name three.
Yes. The so so often here I've talked about the difference between an opinion and a conclusion, about fact-based thinking, data, conclusions, a process versus simply gut feeling. Or as Stephen Colbert in his very first episode of the Colbert Report 20, 25 years ago,
That long ago. Hmm.
coined the word truthiness. It doesn't matter what the facts are if you feel it's true with your gut. Truthiness. And that's I I've seen people post things and say, well, actually, that's not true. Here, counterfacts has been shown to be not true. And the response I've gotten from some people is, thank you. I should have checked more carefully before posting this. But the response from some other people is, well, it should be true.
That is an incredibly a dangerous way to live your life.
Yeah, it should be true. Well,
I don't even.
yeah, it should be true that pigs would fly, but we don't see pork in the treetops.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't.
To
It should be
I'm
true.
paraphrasing from Lion in Winter for those
Hmm.
who appreciate a reference like that.
Yeah, but again, getting back to Bregman's whole thing, that we are, and you're right to point out that the news cycle drives a lot of this. Um, and social media, as you say, if you don't know, you still feel somehow, we are now feeling somehow compelled to weigh in with our opinions on things. But it news, I don't even, I hesitate to even call them news sources these days. Um, Wants to fill the gap of knowledge with punditry
Yes,
instead of facts.
yes,
You know, there's, well, this thing happened, so here's a bunch of speculation about why, well, what actually happened and why it might have happened that way. That's not news. That's not journalism.
Well, and it used to be that a news outlet, television, radio, newspapers, and so on, would not print, publish, broadcast something until it was verified by multiple independent sources.
Yes.
Now they will say it's been reported that, or some sources are saying that because they're driven
Hmm.
to break the story first.
Yep.
And there's actually nefarious actors in this, nefarious people who will put something out there that's completely made up.
Oh, yeah.
But they have enough followers, enough distribution that people will talk about it. Then it gets picked up by news media saying it's being said that, and then others will report that this media outlet has said this, that it's being reported, and then people think it's true. And sometime later, it comes out as false, and the
Yeah.
retraction, the correction, if it's published at all, is buried somewhere
Hmm.
and not, and that's so destructive. It's people are not essentially bad. I believe people are
Right.
not essentially bad at their nature. The whole concept of original sin and people are born in sin.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I
That's a
reject that
I
entirely.
reject that completely. But people are being driven, are being motivated, are being influenced to think and act, think badly of themselves and of other, well, not of themselves, of all the others.
Well,
And
or that I mean, in some ways, you're taught to think badly of yourself, but that just leads to justification. There's no,
yes, yeah,
I already think I'm bad. There's no reason not to be.
yes, yes. Well, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, right?
Right.
One of the problems with this is that if you can't distinguish, if you think everybody's bad, then you lose the ability to distinguish between people who are good and people who are actually bad, because there are
Right.
actually bad people out there. And
Right.
if you can't tell the difference because you think everybody's bad, and you can't even tell the degree of difference, then you lose that discernment, and that's a problem. It's important to understand the human ethical values, the human ethics of social interaction, responsibility, community that allow us to collaborate, cooperate, and survive as the human species, and understand which people have been so distorted by. There are people who are psychopaths and sociopaths who are that way because um, of
Uh,
genetics or environment.
right.
Yeah.
But it mainly means a lack of empathy.
Right. And there are people who are taught that and brought up to believe that, a lack of empathy towards certain people directed in some directions. If you have to be able, people have to be able to distinguish between the good people and the ones who are not. Be,
Well, and
but if you assume that everybody's bad to start with, you lose in some. That's one of the problems I have with certain religions that preach that everybody is born in sin and it's only a higher power controlling people to be. No, it's more often the fear of a higher power that's pushing people on to off, not all the time, but oftentimes to bad behavior too.
and it's reinforced by the idea that I don't want to call it a myth because it's again this self-fulfilling prophecy, but the idea reinforced by this idea that that the world is dog eat dog and you got to look out for yourself and you can't trust anybody and nobody's going to do it if you don't do it, or if you don't do it,
Yeah.
somebody else will, you
Yes.
know, do unto others before they do unto you. That kind of philosophy where everything is a competition. And if you don't take enough for yourself, somebody else is going to take it first and you aren't going to have anything.
Right.
So it, it, it's all built on each other. These are all bricks in the wall, so to speak,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
Oh,
it's not,
we're heavy with the cultural pop culture references tonight. I can
yeah, if
see.
anybody younger than us recognizes any of them, I don't know, but
Well, if they are, they can build us a shrubbery, a
a
two-layer
shrubbery,
shrubbery
yes,
with a nice path. Yeah. Okay.
nothing too expensive, right? But so,
We should
so I
keep
think
have a
this,
counter and see how many pop culture references we can include.
well, and we should have your wife sit there with the counter. Just have her in the, have a little camera with her on the counter with the, in the corner of the counter like this, and just every time she rolls her eyes.
We'll have a scanner, and every time she
So
could stroke out rolling her eyes as much as she would with us. I would not want that to happen.
you
So,
get aneurysm. So I see all of these things, and it is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where, well, you're bad, and therefore, you're a component of this bad society. And even if you're not bad, even if you're kind of good, you have to protect yourself from bad people, you know, so much that you have to become kind of bad just to protect yourself.
yeah,
And maybe you can find a group that's better or lifts you up, but you're still have to be your group has to be constantly on guard against this other group that's bad. We This pyramid of sort of blame and guilt at the same time.
yeah. And it's interesting. I think that there's so much I see now about people thinking, well, it's going to get really bad. I have to protect myself. Lone wolf sort of thing, and the no, it's community is the thing that is ensures survival.
Yeah.
Um,
And we've
Mark,
talked about that whole American lone wolf,
yeah,
super independence.
I think it was Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, who was asked what the earliest sign of civilization was.
Yeah.
Was it art? Was it pottery? No, it was a healed femur. She said because a
Yep.
broken femur is a really bad injury.
Yeah.
And if they find a healed femur, it means it healed before the pre-human, because it was not a modern Homo sapien, it was a pre-human species. It healed before they died. And
Hmm.
that means that they were taken care of while they recovered from this really serious injury.
Well, yeah, that is it is a well supported theory. I don't think that it proves necessarily, but
But but that was her,
that was
that
her.
was,
Yeah.
that was her, for her, that was her sign of civilization, her first sign
Hmm.
of civilization. That a society, meaning a community, a group that would take care of its injured and
Right.
old until they recovered. And I think that's really good, you know?
Yeah.
Um, Unlike, oh, I don't know, someone who would maybe take their dog out and dispose of it because it wasn't performing
Uh,
according to their needs, and then, oh, be appointed to some high level in the administration. Fuck her.
well, yeah. Um, so.
And
I
fuck the
think,
people who voted to confirm her too.
all right,
Yeah,
I'll get right on that.
yeah. Well, that word that is a very versatile word and
Indeed.
is not necessarily that was not necessarily an imperative to take action. It was metaphorical. It can occupy is a very interesting that word can occupy many different parts of speech
Oh yeah.
at
It's
the
often an adjective.
yes. So
Fucking is a verb and an adjective.
yes, so fuck you, you fucking fuck is
Yep.
a great phrase because it occupies so many parts of speech. Anyway,
Anyway, um,
what the fuck were you saying?
I don't fucking know.
Well, fuck it then.
Yeah,
Oh,
fuck it.
yeah.
Have another drink. Um, well, again, what I find, and one of the things that I keep coming back to, and I've spoken of it before, that the organization that we both found completely separately, I think is a place where, if not entirely unique, is certainly rare in my experience. That it's an organization, and when I'm talking about the SCA, where most of our audience is
Society
familiar with.
for Creative Anachronism.
Yep, is a place where,
501c3 nonprofit organization, historical reenactment, dedicated to an educational organization dedicated to the study and recreation of pre-17th century human culture on Earth from all those societies where you learn by doing and you share that knowledge freely with others.
right, but it also has a kind of a unique moral underpinning that's based on what we talk about every week is the chivalric virtues.
Yes.
And it's kind of a neo-Victorian version of the chivalric virtues, I will freely admit.
Well, yeah,
Um,
our first dozen episodes were all about going through the virtues and which ones they
yeah,
are and what we're going to talk about and how they
sure.
are
We
and
as
how they relate.
modern, yeah,
Modern,
as modern dudes, we picked them for ourselves.
yes,
And that, but for the purposes of this podcast, but the organization recognizes that fair play and service and kindness and courtesy and all of those things are valuable to a society,
yes,
not just the organization, but as a society, as a social construct, these things have value. And they are in fact, as much as we can determine in individuals, necessary for recognition and advancement in the organization.
yes. And we believe that everyone is capable of them.
Yes, it is an absolutely egalitarian.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, all the things you need to do. Here's all the
And
things we expect of you.
and you have said and so in the organization accomplishment is recognized with a level called peerage for
Yes,
service, for martial activities in a couple of ways, and for excellence in the arts. And you have said, and I've heard you say this before, find a thing you enjoy, keep doing that until you get really good at it, and don't be a dick while you're doing it. I'm
well,
paraphrasing,
yeah,
because
there.
it was a dragon, not a tiger, but I paraphrase. So it's your story, so you can tell
Hey,
it.
well, the I had a foolproof 5-step program for getting anything you want in this organization.
Yeah.
And step one is find something you really, really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Step two is get as good as you possibly can. Practice, train, do whatever you need to do to get really, really good at that thing. Serve selflessly, work tirelessly, be patient. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is. And if you can't, if you can do the first two and you can't do the second two, you're not going to, you'll stagnate. You've hit the end of the road for you, and
Mm.
that's fine. And that's but you've got to do all those things. And the last one in particular, if you can't be patient, you will be um, uh, discouraged, disgruntled, tired, and you'll fade away and leave just probably just before all your dreams came true.
Well, I don't know that achieving that is all someone's dreams, but
No, of
but
course,
you're exaggerating for effect, which I've never known you to do before. I've
never in a million
never
years.
ever known you to exaggerate ever at
For
all
effect.
for effect. um,
So, so I keep applauding our organization in that way because I think it's a microcosm, and to be fair, in many ways, you only have to do it when people are watching,
well,
right? And we've been caught in that trap as well. Is that all we can do is observe people on the occasions we see them,
yeah,
and we judge them by that. And if they have been doing all of this performatively just to get a particular result, sometimes we fail. Sometimes we make a mistake, and
and
the wrong person
sometimes
gets rewarded.
people who do all those things are not recognized. So
Right,
it's imperfect because people are imperfect. We're not saying that people are perfect. And so the whole golem theory is, is not valid because people are perfect. No, people are not perfect. People are imperfect, but they are not, it's imperfect is not bad.
right,
Is not intentionally
right,
bad, is not
and not irredeemable.
right. It's imperfect and imperfection can be improved. So, but it takes work to improve that and
Right,
improve upon things. So,
and yeah,
yeah,
so so I found this whole. It's not really a study; it's an essay.
yeah,
The guy doesn't. This Bregman, he's a philosopher, not a statistician. He doesn't offer statistics that show or studies that prove any of this stuff. He's pointing out what he sees as tendencies and observations of his own. And I think they have some merit, especially as balanced against the Pygmalion effect that we see.
hmm,
We've all seen both of those things in action. He's only elevated it to a sort of societal level,
yeah,
right? And that's his thing, is that society, and he points out that that is the ruling class, whatever that means, the controlling arbiters of a social hierarchy reinforce this because it allows them to remain in control.
yeah.
If you can convince your population that they are inherently uh, unrulable and need a strong controlling force to keep you safe from all the bad people
Yeah.
that you know are out there, you
Well, and
know.
the theory of class society being God-given
Well, yeah,
and people born into a class and remaining there, that uh, upward mobility did not exist for a long time. There was only
right,
downward mobility. Um, that's increasingly that is the idea of upward mobility is a myth because of the efforts of the people on top who are, or the efforts of the, because they have influenced policy with money
yeah,
to make sure that things stay the way they are and made upward mobility increasingly difficult. Education was often the vehicle of upward mobility. That is becoming increasingly difficult. I've mentioned this before. There were people I knew in as an undergrad who very come from a very wealthy background. They were very sociable, very nice, very friendly. Were not necessarily dedicated students, did not necessarily apply themselves with dedication. All they had to do was finish with a degree, and they had unpaid internships, which they could afford to do because they
right?
didn't have to work during the summers. They had a guaranteed job in a firm when they graduated, and they've gone on to financial success because, you
The
know,
way was paved for them,
yeah, they're born on third base with a silver spoon, you know.
which is hard to run with a silver spoon in your mouth. I just gotta say.
Yeah, they had somebody to carry it for them.
Ah,
So,
good,
yeah.
good.
And that's in a lot of ways only gotten worse. That the efforts um, to cut support for higher education access to people of potential, but without the social advantages, is ultimately self-destructive for society because you are not allowing people with great potential to be in a situation where they can realize that potential, where they can make that potential come true, and or the result of that, where they can effectuate the manifest those abilities. Um, so um, I think there are people who still believe that, as we started talking about the Golem effect, that people are inherently bad. There, I think people are inherently good, but damn, there are a lot of people who learn to be bad.
Oh yeah, and you can learn it early,
Yeah.
certainly.
Oh yeah.
But we've seen studies have shown there are lots of case studies where whole countries have or whole large cities in other countries have um, lowered their crime rate by simply providing the basics
Yeah.
for people.
The yeah. There
That if you make it if you remove the overlaying template that everything's a competition, and if unless you work hard and hold whatever you can possibly earn for yourself close, um, that somebody's going to take it away from you. But
yeah.
if everybody's got enough, crime drops. If you don't have a certain stratum of society that is struggling just to survive, to keep a roof over their heads, to keep their family or themselves fed, if you remove those pressures, crime drops precipitously.
Yeah. There's a owner of a company who, this was 10 years ago, I think, announced that he was raising everybody's salary to a certain level,
Yeah,
and his own would be at or near that. And people said, "Oh, your business is going to fail. You can't do that." His business succeeded
yeah,
phenomenally.
tripled.
And yeah, because
Yeah, I'm familiar with this.
the employees were not worried. You know, there's a certain level. He looked at the studies. What's the level of income that people need to not have to worry about the basics so they can actually focus on their job? And
Right.
similarly, there are places that have tried with homeless people the housing first approach,
Hmm.
where they find people, they give them a house, they give them counseling as part
Right.
of that, in job training and counseling and how to live and how to take care of a house and all that. Does it, it succeeds better than anything else. But there's a certain strain, and there is a religious component behind this, that wealth indicates God's favor,
Oh
and
yeah.
the poor are obviously you're poor because you are morally there's a moral defect. Um, and so it's the related to the prosperity gospel, which is a scam as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
absolutely.
That and then there's another religious strain that says, "Oh, the poor are blessed, and they are because they are so meek and they are poor and they have nothing, and therefore we honor them and keep them
Yeah,
poor."
right. Well,
And there's
what an incredibly convenient philosophy.
well, um,
I have to struggle with all of my wealth.
yeah, Christopher Hitchens, who
Ah,
very interesting, late Christopher Hitchens wrote a scathing book about several people, included among them Mother Teresa. You okay?
yeah, just swallowed wrong. You go ahead. I'm just gonna take
Okay.
care of myself here for a
Yeah,
second.
okay. Scathing book about Mother Teresa and others, where he said she viewed suffering as a way of bringing people closer to God. And so she had sympathy for the people who were suffering, but she didn't do shit for them. And
Right,
she
yeah.
took money for her mission from all kinds of really bad people, thereby redeeming them. And yeah, people can disagree. She's been um, named I think she's been named a saint, but
She has, yeah.
she's
I want to know what her miracles were, but whatever.
getting people to believe that she was a saint. So,
Well, there are too many evangelicals who fall in that category.
yeah. So, um, but as Tevye said, um, that being poor is no crime, but it's not a great gift either.
Right.
So, right.
Yeah.
So, um, I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact words, but um, people, you had people, they have to be taught. Children have to be taught to hate. The that song. Wow, and we are really full of the cultural
Oh yeah, we
references.
are.
Right?
We're full
Um,
of something.
yeah. Um, I, so again, I've done what I can to apply in my own teaching the expectation that everybody will do great. It's really hard sometime when there's some student in the back of the room just not paying attention, hood over the head, looking at the phone, but I don't know if they've been working, if they're
Right.
taking care of siblings or children or what's going on. I don't know. All I can do is they're there, they're showing up. Maybe some of it will sink in, and maybe they'll do something with it. So
You can't force somebody to learn. You
no,
can only provide the opportunity.
yeah. Um, so yep,
So again, this whole thing reinforces my what is becoming more and more my philosophy of trying not to ascribe the old saw, right? Don't ascribe malice to something that could be more easily explained by stupidity,
yeah,
you
or
know,
incompetence. Yeah,
or incompetence.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Plain carelessness to me isn't as evil as intentional wrongdoing
right.
or harm, right? So,
Yes. I am pretty fucking tired of incompetence, though.
well, yeah, I agree. Incompetence um, wrapped in claims of purity and well, good intentions.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah. It's
that's
somebody
just being dishonest.
I for just once, I would like to see someone nominated for a high position of responsibility who said, thank you, but I'm not qualified to do this.
Mm, mm.
It's not in my area of expertise. I don't know this stuff. I don't have the experience. I don't have the management capability. I don't have the, thank you very much, but uh, you need to find somebody who actually knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah,
And that's not me. And you and I have both said, as well intentioned as we might be, that I want people in positions of authority to be smarter and more qualified than I am.
yeah,
And I want people to be smarter than me. And that's holding them to a high standard.
right,
So, right? But there are things that I have no expertise in that
right.
I wouldn't want, if I was forced to be in a position, there was nobody else, like what was the show? The, uh, Kiefer Sutherland is the secretary of
Oh,
education or something, and
survivor,
or something, and there's
designated survivor.
designated survivor. He's the designated survivor. He's the one person in the government. He's a minor cabinet official who is the one not attending the State of the Union. Everybody else is there, and there's some attack, and they're all killed, and boom, he's the president.
Yep,
Well, okay, in that situation, you or I would do the best we could because we had
right.
to.
And
But
the first thing you do is find people who are actually qualified to help you make decisions.
exactly. And that's one thing I was explaining this to somebody, and this is something I heard from an analyst, and it made a lot of sense. Somebody who worked in government said the debates. I just had something to say about debates, and conversations, and performative shows of debates that aren't actually debates. That political debates have nothing to do with the qualifications of somebody to be an executive, a president, for
Not
example.
anymore.
No, that it's performative, and they are rated who won or not by news media who are talking about their debate performance, not about their policies, not about their abilities to actually lead a huge organization, which is a completely different skill set than a stage debate performance. And we've talked
Well,
about this before in again in this SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism, our organization. The very best people are king and queen for a length of time, and then somebody else takes their place. And the ability to do that is a combination of the ability to play the role on stage in front
mhm,
of people in a way that people will believe it. But then there's administrative stuff that has to be done, and you have to do that, or you have to find people who can do it and lead them in a direction and make sure they're doing checking on, make sure they're so there's a combination of administrative stuff and performance stuff. And that's
right.
a really difficult combination to find in most people. That politicians have to have the ability to speak publicly and also negotiate with people and also lead an organization and direct the staff and do there's a lot of things involved in that, and a lot of those people who are elected don't have all of those skills, and some of
Well,
them don't have any of them, it seems.
and in our organization, in sort of in particular, is the two skills that you outlined have absolutely nothing to do with our selection process.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but we try and as a culture, the people that usually end up surrounding the people that do have that opportunity, they are counseled with just like what you said. Here are the things you're going to encounter.
Yeah.
Here's advice. Here's previous experience at your beck and call.
Yeah.
And don't don't act rashly. Don't go on your first instinct necessarily. Consider carefully. Ask people around you. There's a large support system
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
those people if they take advantage of it.
Yes.
If they don't, they usually suffer personally in some way, and it's very difficult
Reputationally.
for the
Yeah.
organization to be hurt by because, as you said,
Temporary. Yeah.
it's temporary. It's half a year
Yeah.
about, and to me, this is a really great um, uh, what's the word I want? Testimony for term limits, right? Is what because, and I've always looked at it as what we're talking about is royalty, of course,
Hmm.
and the royalty are there for 6 months, but they come in with fresh eyes to the job. They it's only very slightly likely that they've occupied any of the staff positions that surround them
Hmm.
before. Occasionally you see it, but for the most part, they come in as you've plucked a member of the populace effectively out of the crowd and dropped them into the top executive position in the organization, regional organization. So they know what it's like on the ground for the population at large. And they can look at policies and changes to law and things from that perspective. How is this going to affect me on the ground? What would I do if I wasn't in this position? How would I deal with that? And they can bring that perspective, and that's very useful to
Yeah.
keep that constant. Well, I'm not sure that everybody's going to like that because I used to be them 2 months ago, right? Because it's possible you see people who are the support staff, the support offices around that are for 2 and 3 years
Hmm.
duration, and they can become because of the work that goes into those. And I don't want to put anything. I don't want to denigrate those people at all. They work for the most of them work very hard in thankless jobs, and they are absolutely necessary for the running of the organization. So I don't. But after a couple of years, it can be tough to see beyond the job itself
Yeah.
and how it affects everyone around, what the ripples are going to be when a policy is changed. So having new cabinet members, so to speak, set in place every 6 months is a way to say, I don't know if that's gonna go over very well if we do that,
Yeah.
you know? So having the continuity of someone who's there for a couple of years and understands why the rules were made and has come up against the guardrails enough times to realize that, oh, well, this is why we have to do it this way. And it would make this administrative aspect a lot easier if we could just change this.
And extrapolating that to, let's say, the modern political situation
Uh-huh.
where the executive is surrounded by yes men
Who
who,
supports their worst instincts.
yes, it points out why that's a bad idea.
Well,
I,
yeah, if they
yeah,
can, but see, that's the thing in our organization, that person who's dropped in there can't just unilaterally fire everyone around them
right, right,
anymore.
yeah.
That used to be possible,
Well,
as I
not
recall.
quite.
Not quite, but it was a lot easier
It was
30
it
years ago than it is now.
well, as someone in that position who actually did um, fire people, I was done with the in coordination with the higher up level at the
Yeah, right.
national level before it was done. Um,
Sure. But now it's an absolute requirement. Now the royalty can't even do it. Now it
it
has to come from.
it was a requirement back then for me. Had to be done in
Oh,
cooperation. Couldn't be
okay.
done unilaterally. Suspension could be,
Yeah,
But
okay.
so
That's still
anyway,
true.
um, but,
Pending investigation or
yeah,
review.
but I have known in the SCA officers who believed that it was their job to facilitate whatever the royalty wanted to do, no matter what it was, and find ways to bend the rules to allow that. And that was bad. That did not
Yeah,
work out well. Um,
yeah.
yeah. So,
Particularly because things change, that executive spot changes so rapidly that bending to it can cause a whipsaw
yeah,
effect that is bad for everybody.
yeah.
And
So,
I think we're seeing that in our modern politics now, where there's the whipsaw effect of,
yeah.
we have to gather whatever power and get whatever we can done in the time we have.
Well, it's worse than that because there are people who, recognizing that in the time they have, want to make sure that the time they have is without
Doesn't
end,
doesn't run out. Yeah, yeah,
doesn't run out. And that's uh, potentially a huge problem.
yeah. The thing I think we have to be most on our guards about.
Yes. And oh, as we talked about in the previous episode, um, giving them a martyr is
Mm, mm,
as a pretext for that sort of thing is a bad idea. So, um, but that's, maybe people just needed a hug when they were a child. So
maybe they needed to be told that they could do it, that they've got this, that
maybe
there's
needed to be told that they can't do it. No, it's a bad idea. Stop. So,
yeah, stop that. Stop that. Put that puppy
because
down.
yeah, rules, I mean, the children don't necessarily know what the rules are. The rules that and ethics and guidelines that humans evolved to exist in society have to be learned.
Oh yeah.
Children have to learn them. And if they don't learn them, that's the way to, some people can't and won't, and they are sociopaths or psychopaths. But if they don't learn them or are taught the opposite, you're creating bad,
Mm,
you're
yeah,
creating the sociopaths, and that's bad. That's really bad.
right. And that's what this whole thing we're talking about
Yeah.
is about.
Yeah.
That
That they're made. The golem was made, not born.
right. Yeah. So
And in the same way, Pygmalion, who's the sculptor, not the statue, that was Galatea, was made, not born. And so the good or ill is, we can shape it, but we have to. So
well, and we have to in some ways be willing to be shaped,
yes. Yep.
right? I mean, as a grown up, you realize that you can't you can't be in constant rebellion. It just doesn't it
Yeah.
doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve anybody
Yeah.
to, rebel, well, what are you rebelling against? Well, what have you got?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, the famous James Dean line. Another cultural reference there
Yeah.
for,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
but that,
Yeah, the leader of the pack was driving on Dead Man's Curve. Then Jan and Dean sang a song, and I hear the Beach Boys playing surf guitar. Thank you very much.
right.
How many can I, in my little deuce coupe?
Yeah. Yeah, with California girls in the back seat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
But so that point I think is important, that while you can't just roll over for authority when authority is um, harmful to society as a whole, when it constricts your rights and your freedoms and your health and your basic ability to survive and thrive and pass it on to your progeny. When that authority starts to curtail that, you have to resist it.
Yes.
But just being in rebellion of anything that is going to that limits your absolute freedom to anarchy, you've got to strike the balance. And that's what,
Yeah.
grown up people realize that there's a balance.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the one theme that we have talked about that has permeated every episode, every discussion, every time we talk about the virtues is balance.
Yeah.
Because I'm yeah, I think that's one consistent element throughout. So, okay.
All right.
So, well then, I think we've talked about that.
I think we've done that. I hope you all have enjoyed it. I hope you will like and share and follow and press all the buttons and tell all your friends
All of that. Yeah.
and see us again next time.
And until then, be thou
A good night.
and true.